Now I'm here, and Brian's here, and I thought it would be diplomatic to start with one of your songs.
Oh, how nice. What a nice fellow. We're all banging our heads against the speakers here. It's great fun.
Oh, everybody says, first of all, to say welcome back.
Thank you.
Nice trip?
Very nice. We had a great time, yeah. I want to tell you about it.
Go on in.
Oh, can I?
You're on.
Oh, okay.
Tell us all about it.
Okay, what did we do? Well, we went to... About 3 months we've been away in the States, all over the States, starting in the Midwest, which is Chicago and places like that, and the East Coast, which is New York, South, which is New Orleans and Florida and those places, and the West Coast, which is Los Angeles, and then up to Canada, where we hadn't been properly before. Played to about 500,000 people. A total of 45 dates, I think, in 3 months. So we're a little tired, but in good spirits.
It sounds amazingly exotic, but is it, as everybody says, just one long round of holiday ends and you can't tell one place from another? Is it really like that?
It can get that way, unless you keep it well under control. Yeah, there's a lot of work, there's no doubt about it. I mean, most of your life is playing, and in our case, we take a lot of trouble with the sounds. We do sound checks in the afternoon. So generally we'll get into the city about midday, we do a sound check, and we go back and change and wash and get some sleep maybe. And we play in the evening, and then maybe go out for a meal and jollification after the gig, sleep, and then fly the next day. And sometimes you do forget where you are, definitely.
Because you don't get too much time to look around.
No, occasionally we do more than one night in a city, and then you get a bit of time to look around. And actually it's surprising how much you can pick up with the local sort of flavour, just by talking to the people who drive you around and the people you meet in the street, people in the hotels. And you can get a feel for the kind of industry that goes on in the town, you know, what the town's built up around. Yeah. And can be pretty good. There's some... Touring is well known for being very high and very low. You know, you can get very low, or you can get very high, and it all happens in the space of a few minutes.
Mm. You were there with Thin Lizzy this time,
yes.
Right? A lot of people said how incongruous this was. It doesn't seem it immediately to me.
Not at all. I think it was a masterstroke. I think it's a great idea. It was our idea to take them over because we'd sold most of the places out, so we didn't particularly need a strong support act from that point of view. But we wanted someone who would just give that real bit of spice to the show. And I think it makes really good value for money if you get a band as good as Lizzy to go on first.
Well, I'm sure you've done them a big favour, because next time they go over there, they'll probably go to headline and take somebody else with them.
Yeah, that's the way it works. So I think it's a highly excellent way of carrying on. You know, and the additional bonus is that they're great to get on with. They're good people to get on with on the road. You know, so that makes things a little easier. Yeah. And a good time was had by all.
Okay, I've dug a skeleton from the closet. And we're going to hear it in just a second.
This is fun.
Right, listen closely. Familiar voice and a familiar guitar in here. Larry Lurex. And I Can Hear Music. I Can Hear Music by Larry Lurex. And hiding behind Mr. Lurex sat Mr. Mercury on voice. And a certain B. May on guitar. Right, give us the story.
I didn't tell him this, he found out this for himself.
Go on, tell us the story.
I just got nosy stuff.
Go on, dig in.
The story is interesting because at this time we'd more or less finished the first album, and a friend in the organisation we were in called Robin Cable, who was a record producer, had this idea of doing a kind of tribute to Phil Spector. And he wanted to do I Can Hear Music, and something on the B-side, which is another Spector song, I think. Quickly looking.
Oh, I Can Hear Music, I Can Hear Music. Yes, it is another one. This is mono.
Oh dear, we have the DJ copy here. Well, it was another one. Anyway, and he enlisted Freddie to do the vocal, and somehow I ended up doing the guitar, and that was Freddie's idea. And Roger was doing the percussion and stuff. And somehow the group... Oh yes, it's all there, if you listen, folks.
Was that before you got John? Because I know there was this incredible long time.
No, this was when Queen was really well going, you know, and it was just, we were just acting as session musicians, that was all. We were just more or less doing what was asked for us, but we got involved, you know. And it's very strange, because at that time, we, as I say, more or less finished the album. We had so many sticky management problems, even at that time, that we couldn't get the album released, and they were still debating about who was going to, what record company it was going to go to, and it was about, I think, 18 months from the time when we first went to our production company with all the material for the album, and the time when it came out. It brings back to me great feelings of frustration that we've been playing this music for so long. When are we going to be able to get it across?
How do you ever manage to survive like that when it goes on for 18 months? I mean, who's actually looking after you? When you're not out there playing,
nobody at the
you're
time.
scrounging at home.
The only thing, we're all students. I think by that time I was doing research. I was doing astronomy research, which had been supported by a grant, and then the grant ran out, and I toured to the comprehensive school for 6 months, and we all just did various things to stay alive, and just somehow kept on with the faith that we would eventually get through and manage to get the record out. It's a big ambition at the time, just to make a record and get it out, and have a kind of permanent record of what we've been doing. Because all this stuff on the first album, which I see you have on the turntable, had been going around for, let's say, 18 months or so before even we thought about going to the record company. You know, so it was so old by that time. You know, we got so much past all that stuff. It was just a big frustration.
And which track have you chosen?
Well, we have a track called Modern Times Rock and Roll. This is written by Roger, and I think it was done in about 10 minutes flat in the studio at the time.
Took you about 10 minutes to record?
It was done in very much of a hurry, as everything was in those days.
But do you feel you've lost maybe some of that, being able to go in and do something in?
We can still do it if we want to, and I think there's a feeling that we may do just that, in fact, very soon.
On the new album?
So without saying any more, yeah, there's, I don't know, it may not work out, so, you know, it's too early to say.
It must get awfully wearing, going in and doing Night of the Opera, Day of the Races, and taking such a long time. I mean, you're all perfectionists.
Yeah.
And you know exactly what you want, but it takes such a long time to get it.
It just physically does, because there's so much overdubbing. You're creating orchestras and choirs and things. And we've got into it. I was talking to Maggie just before I came in here. I think we took that as far as it could possibly be taken on A Day at the Races. I think if you listen to The Millionaire Waltz, I don't know if you have that around, but there's a complete sort of orchestra with all its sections, and there's choirs and stuff. It's really good. And I don't think we can ever go any further than that in that direction. So it may be... See, I don't know, because it depends what happens in the studio. It depends what songs come up. That really dictates what we do. But it just may happen that what we do now is that there's a reaction to that to a certain extent.
I heard a story that you actually would be going out maybe with an orchestra next time, yes, no?
Where did that come from?
Well, buzzing around, anything?
No, I don't think we will. No. Well, maybe sometime in the future, but at the moment... You see, it's a funny thing, because A Night at the Opera and Day at the Races are a sort of pair of albums in many ways, in which we pursued the various avenues which we'd taken a fancy to their logical conclusions, as far as I can see.
And what you could do in the studio, you took it to the limit there. I mean, there's little else you could do.
So I don't think there's any possibility of us coming up with another album called Duck Soup or something, and continuing in that tradition. It's going to be something very different. And exactly what it is going to depend on how we feel.
The other story I heard was the Jubilee concert. Anything to that book? June?
Well, I don't know. It may happen as a part of a tour. We're planning at the moment to get out on tour. That's the most important thing to us at the moment. We're going to do some dates in Europe, preparatory to coming back here and doing quite a lot of dates here, I think. And the Jubilee thing may be a part of that. I don't know. It's a kind of... It seems to me a little bit of a gimmicky thing, you know. It's the Queen's Jubilee, so let's get Queen to play, you know. And I think every promoter in England approached us to do something like that. But whether it's the right thing to do or not, I really don't know. You know, it's not intended. I'm not sort of snubbing the idea of a Golden Jubilee, which is great, but I just think it's a little tacky to do it just because of the name or whatever. You know, yeah. So we certainly hope to do some really good London dates, and we want to tour Britain in the same way as we toured the States, if possible, and do it on a grand scale and make every concert an event. It'll be different to what we've done before. We want to do some bigger places, but not lose the intimacy, because we feel we can. We've learned a few things since we've been away. We've learned to make an occasion out of a concert, and rather than just be four players in a picture frame in a theatre, we're going to be three-dimensional, and we're going to be out there among the audience.
Okay, hang on just a minute while we take a break. Great record. Great memories for us here, because that was just after Capital came on the air. It wasn't long after. Hit number one here, 5th of April 1974.
Great, he's got it all down, hasn't he? What
Yeah.
a bloke.
Listen,
Happy memories for us too, I remember.
really
Does
happy
that-
memories?
Yeah, because...
I noticed you enjoying it, nodding along and
I
smiling.
haven't heard it for a long time, actually. Yeah. It brings back all the feelings of we're going to do it and F everybody else, you know. We're going to... Because I'm not allowed to say things like that, but I remember the first single, Keep Yourself Alive, we had so much trouble with to try and get it played by anyone. You know, there wasn't Capital in those days.
Right.
There wasn't commercial radio stations, excuse me. And it all rested on getting the thing on the BBC playlist, and we had an excellent guy who was working on it for us and tried to went along there every week and said, look, listen to it, it's good, you ought to play it, people want to hear it. The group are out on tour and that sort of stuff. No joy, no luck. And when we were doing Seven Seas of Rye, I can remember sitting in the mix room and mixing this track and just thinking, let them try not to play it, because that's going to be a hit. And by that time we were out on tour and there was a ready-made market. Well, market's the wrong sort of word. There was a kind of instant acceptance from the fact that we would not to come back from the States where it was this huge buzz and we were feeling that we've really broken through and achieved something, and find out that having released Tiny Mother Down, which to my mind isn't a particularly inaccessible track, you know, it's not too heavy for anyone, it's quite a jolly little tune really, and to find that there was the same sort of opposition to that. I don't know if somebody misinterpreted the words or something.
What I heard was they said Status Quo do it better.
Well, Status Quo do it very well, far be it from me, they do it great.
I can't
But,
see it though. I mean, no, I just cannot see the logic at all that they won't play the record.
That's the problem. So, in a way, it's sort of good for us because we were feeling in the States, well, let's get back to a bit of rock and roll. But it didn't really come home to us until we set foot back in this country that it really was getting back down to it. You know, and you're out on your own again. If you're trying to get something fairly heavy across as a single, then you're back to square one more or less. And we do have friends in the BBC. You know, there's people like Alan Freeman when we plug anything. There's David Travis who played Get Yourself Alive, and Peel, Jeff Griffin, and those people were great. You know, but it's the mass market shows which sell records. You know? And so we're up against this brick wall once again. So again we're probably on a little crusade, you know, people like yourself who would take a chance. And,
well, number one, look, I mean...
The hit line is very interesting for us. I've never got to talk to you before, but I know your voice very well. I've heard the hit line thing. And that's always seemed to us a very real sort of point here. And it makes us very happy. It seems like a very real thing if people are actually ringing in.
And it's the immediacy of the thing. I mean, you haven't actually got to physically press records and get them to distributors and get them to shops and get people to actually go out and buy them. It's the immediate thing. I like that record, and I call up and I say, that's the one I like.
Yeah, I love it actually. I think it's live radio at its best, really. It's something which happens in the States. If you go into an American city, then you find that the stations have been playing your records and they know you're coming, and it's an event for them. And when we can, we try and get in and put in an appearance at the station, and we perhaps talk to people on the phones. And that's one of the most real things, apart from the concerts, that happens, really, because you're directly in contact with the people who've known you for all those years and been listening to your records.
Well, let's do a bit of that now, actually.
Well, if you
It's
want
Brian May. We're going to open up the phone lines. If there's something you'd like to ask him, say to him. The number's 013881255 if you'd like to call in. 3881255 if you'd like to have a chat with Brian. Last time I saw you was at Hammersmith, right?
Oh.
That was Hammersmith. When was that?
Must be,
Seems like quite a time ago.
must be 2 years ago.
I remember Kenny Everett on the floor screaming because it was so loud. He said he was getting old and had to leave halfway through.
Well, okay.
But watching you on stage, I mean, whilst you appear very quiet, I mean, you move around a little, but you also look as if you're really enjoying making those noises with that guitar, because it makes an incredible sound.
Oh, thank you.
Do you really enjoy that?
Yes, I enjoy it. I think
Is
it's
that the high point of it all, apart from the studio? Not
those
going in the studio.
couple of hours a day on tour on the stage are the high point. Yeah, that's what it's all about. There's no doubt about it. Yeah, it's the big thing. That's what you're in it for.
Julie's on the phone. Hi, Julie.
Hello.
Hi there. Say hello to Brian.
Hello, Brian.
Hi, Julie. How are you?
Fine, thanks. I've just got over a cold.
Ah,
It's my birthday tomorrow, so
Oh,
wish me happy birthday.
well, happy birthday. What can we do for you? Can we play your Status Quo record?
I'd like a Queen record.
Oh, no, we don't do those. Sorry.
Aw. I'm a dedicated Queen fan, and I'd like to know
Great.
what is your favourite track of Dirt Races?
Oh, that's very hard to say. I don't think I can say. I really don't know. It's all a little too close yet, I think. I really don't know.
Likes the whole thing.
You have me stumped. What's your favourite?
Loverboy.
Okay.
I really like that one.
Okay, so we have a request for Loverboy.
Yes, please.
Great.
Okay, Judy, happy birthday.
Thank you. It's tomorrow.
Okay, happy
Okay.
birthday for tomorrow.
Okay.
Thanks for calling.
All right. I think I've got Phil on the line. Hello, Phil.
Hi.
Okay, go fire away.
Yeah, I'd like to ask about the amazing effects that Brian uses on his guitar. It's quite incredible.
You have some amazing effects on your telephone line at the
No
moment.
cross line there, but you got the question.
Yeah, there's not very much effect to it really. It's just the basic thing I use is a single repeat, which means I can play a phrase and it will come back at me and I can play in harmony with it or cross rhythm with it or whatever happens. And sometimes for some bits I have a second repeat which comes back as well, so you can build up three-part harmonies. Apart from that, the only effect as such I use is a phase pedal, which is a very common or garden thing, which makes the thing go... And that's about it, really.
Because there is, I noticed that there was one of the solos that you're playing on, I mean, nothing was happening. You weren't moving any fingers, yet the thing was played away by itself.
Yeah, I can go... boop, and it'll come back and go boop, a little bit later, so I can go boop and then take a rest.
Okay.
Or else I can play along with it if I want to.
Phil, you've got a favourite track, yeah?
Yeah, that's White Man.
Okay, we'll get that on in just a second.
Yeah. Could you just do me a small favour?
What's that?
Uh-huh.
If you could say hello to Peggy, she'd probably faint.
Hello, Peggy. How are you?
Oh dear, pick her up.
Right, thanks.
Okay, thanks, Phil.
Can't have people painting.
Bye-bye. On the line next. Hi, Nick.
Hi.
Go.
Hello.
I've got 3 of your latest albums, and on all of them, you say at the bottom, no synthesizers used.
Oh, yes, that is true. Sorry?
Don't you like using them, or what?
No, it goes right back to the first album, when we had a few tracks played and people said, oh, it's all done by synthesizers, you know, because we've done some things which sounded with sort of vaguely orchestral things with guitars and voices. And we just wanted to make people know that it wasn't done by synthesizers, it was all with guitars and voices. After a while it became a kind of fetish because I think we felt that our music was fairly emotional and that synthesizer music tends to be rather mechanical. I don't want to categorise too much because obviously there's some people who do great things with synthesizers, especially Stevie Wonder, I'd say. But for our kind of music, a lot of it is unconscious rather than conscious, and we feel that the guitar and the voice and the bass and drums, which are our basic raw materials, say all that we need to say.
Yeah.
Everything is done with that in the studio.
I see. No, I can't fault your music, but, I just wondered...
Oh, it can if you like.
You didn't use it.
No, it's just become a tradition.
I see. Nice.
Okay, Nick? Okay, thank you.
Thanks for phoning.
It's because it's Stevie Wonder's, right? It's his prime instrument.
Yeah,
whereas
I
other
love the
people
stuff
use
he
it
does,
maybe
yeah.
to fill in and make the backgrounds a bit
Yeah,
fuller.
a lot of these sort of synthesized string sections I find very sterile.
Yeah.
Whereas if we use any kind of fill-in stuff like that, it's always done with as much feeling as the front stuff for us.
It's more honest.
Well, I don't know if it's more honest. It's just the way we do things.
Well, if it's Queen, and it's you, and it's not somebody else.
It's us, and there's never anything apart from us on the record.
Right. Okay, Caroline.
Or on stage. I'd say.
Hello?
Hi, Caroline.
Oh, hello, Roger. Hello, Brian.
Hello? Roger isn't here.
Go.
He's here in spirit.
Just got it.
Yes, I am.
Oh,
Get on.
I beg your pardon. What have I done?
Okay, say hello to Brian and ask a question.
Classic James Bond bloomer there.
Get him out of this
Roger
hole.
and John as well. Could you say hello to them?
Sorry, Roger.
Yeah. When did John Deacon join the group? I mean, how did he join the group? It was after you, wasn't it? At the beginning.
Yes, it was just a question of not being able to find the right man in the beginning. We tried a few people and either their personalities didn't work out or else their bass playing didn't work out. And Deaky was just a natural, really. We thought he was a spectacular bass player at the time and we were very pleased. But what we didn't realise was that we were getting a songwriter who would write things like You're My Best Friend. And also someone who could provide leadership in certain situations in the group, because we all I think we all have to sort of lead at certain times. And John is someone who can keep tabs on everything that's going on, particularly the sort of business side and everything. And without him, I think we would have fallen apart a long time ago.
Oh.
Okay.
Could you just say hello to my friend Eleanor? She's liked Queen ever since you and Roger were in Smile. And could you play the next record for her, please?
Great. Okay.
Sure will. Okay, Caroline. Also for Julie's birthday, her favourite track from Day at the Races right after this. One more call. I think it's Hillary. Hi.
Hello?
Hello, Hillary.
Hello, Brian.
Hi.
I just wondered if you've ever felt like packing it all in. Has there been any time when you've really felt you've had enough?
Not very often actually. Probably one time when I got very ill on the first American tour. It was about 3 years ago. I got hepatitis, which is a strange thing which makes you feel pretty depressed anyway. It's a sort of mental and physical thing, I think. And I think at that time I thought I'd never get back to it. I thought I couldn't take the pace or whatever. I think there was a time I went through and I just thought, well, that's it. But it passed, and I just popped in there. It just all came around. Eventually we managed to get back to work, and it just felt great. It felt like a new beginning. And in some way things like that are a good thing, because they're danger signs that show you're pushing your physical capabilities too far or something, and you learn to control yourself in different situations, you know. So at the moment on tour, particularly in the States where pressures are very high, we just pace ourselves and we do as much as we can do, and don't overdo it in any direction. You know, just everything is concentrated to the live performances. We don't do too much rushing around, not even doing too many interviews, you know, because all those things can add up to pressures.
What did you enjoy touring the most?
Always enjoy touring. I think most of all, it's very hard to say. Maybe Japan. It's such an amazing novelty. It's so different to everywhere else, Japan, because you have, in addition to the immediate feeling from the people you're playing to, you have all the real magic of the traditional part of Japanese life, which affects you very much when you're there.
Yeah.
It's going to be great to tour Britain again. I can't wait to do that, because there is something about that which is always different from anywhere else, because it's home, you know. I think that Hyde Park was one of the biggest feelings I've ever had, to do that kind of concert.
Did you think that
home.
really went well for you, the Hyde Park?
I was very pleased. I think we were pretty lucky. There were times before that when we thought, oh my God, it's not going to work out. Let's forget the whole thing, because there's so much politics got involved in it.
Yeah.
So all we were going to do was do a free concert. And we had all these people ringing up and saying, where can I get tickets? You know, why can't I buy tickets? And we said, no, it's free. You don't have to pay. And lots of funny things happened. But eventually it went on, and we had a great sunny day for it. I think everyone had a good time. There were still altercations on the day, and there was a big thing with the powers that be, because they wouldn't let us go on and do the encore after we finished, about which we were very upset, having worked up for months and prepared for all that.
Yeah. Was that the Department of the Environment?
I don't know where it probably came from there, yeah. They got very frightened because there were 150,000 people in Hyde Park in the dark, and they thought they were going to get out of hand. Whereas in fact there was no possible danger of it happening at all. Everyone's very peaceful and having a good time.
Tell me, what are the bad things about being a fab pop star?
Oh, well, it's not fab all the time, Roger. It is sometimes not so fab. What are the bad things?
What are the non-fab things?
The non-fab things are being away from home for long periods and not being able to get back. Because being away from home is great as long as you feel you can go back. But when you're out there and you know it's going to be 3 months and there's no possible way you can get back, sometimes it gets to you. Even that, I mean, it doesn't matter what home means to the individual person. It's just that feeling of being held away from your home base. It can be very...
and security. I mean, you feel more secure.
That kind of
security.
security.
Surrounded by people you know.
Yeah, that's one of the main things.
Listen, we have to go. I'm watching the clock here.
Okay.
And we have precisely 12 seconds, so say thank you to all your fans.
Can I say thank
you
very much? And also, especially to the headline people. That's great. Especially to Roger Scott, who's doing a great job, and we need people like him, because, my God, do we need
Brian,
him.
thank you.
Thanks a lot,
Gotta
Roger.
go.